again, it's the same problem as with, you know, mediation platforms like the gender one, right? I mean, it's forum shopping, kind of, you know, driven by transactional politics with no legitimacy or representation on the ground whatsoever. I mean, it's really difficult for me as a Sudanese person, as well as many other Sudanese people, to kind of digest the possibility of the same people, the same, you know, civilians who supposedly kind of claim to represent the Sudanese people in the aftermath of the revolution, and did so with very little impact, for them to kind of claim to take another stab at it without addressing or be kind of, you know, holding themselves accountable to the previous process.
Do you blame them? You know, I know the direct responsible people for this war are the military factions, but do you think they should share blame because they were in government, these civilians we're talking about?
Yes, of course. I mean, and again, we can't separate civic politics from kind of, you know, military development, right? It has to be looked at holistically, right? I mean, it was a project, a full project with different moving components. A civilian one, right, that attempted reform but failed, but there was also kind of, you know, the security aspect of it, there's a militarized aspect of it, there's the economic aspect of it, and they're all intertwined.
In this very chaotic and violent environment, you have the military factions, you have the civilians, they're not organized. Is there anything that gives you hope? Is there, do you see any light at the end of this tunnel, however long it's going to be?
I do. The light sits with the Sudanese people who, after all they've endured, you know, not just with this war, I mean, Sudan has a very long history of conflict. Whether we're talking about the people in Khartoum, whether it was the people in Darfur and other places, they're the ones who have always kind of strove to kind of, you know, provide for themselves and their communities. They're the ones who kind of, you know...
We're seeing that with the emergency groups,
absolutely,
the humanitarian response to the war.
Exactly, yes. I mean, and yes, of course, the focus now is humanitarianism, right? And especially with the specter of famine looming, it is the Sudanese community that's feeding the Sudanese community, but it's also the one providing security, it's providing shelter. The spectrum of, you know, life-saving services and activities that the, you know, the people on the ground are providing for each other goes way beyond just feeding each other. And they're doing so with very little, you know, resources at their hand.
Yeah.
Which also speaks...
They're basically on their own.
Yes, exactly. Which speaks to, you know, their kind of, you know, their versatility, but also their capability.